All right, so we'll continue with our lesson from yesterday. We're going to cover 4.2 and 4.3. We'll be adding and subtracting polynomials today. So here we go. All right, so we know that the word, okay, these are all prior knowledge. Okay, we should know these things already. All right, the word sum means to add. Okay? But when we're adding, we want to add like terms, right? Okay, so a sum means add, and we will add like terms. Remember, just like yesterday, when we're adding like terms, you want to check to see if your powers are matching, your variables are matching, and so on, okay? And then when we say difference, we are subtracting. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, that's right, yeah, keep forgetting, thank you. There you go. A little bit bigger. Yeah, thank you. It's going to take me a little while to remember that. All right, so go ahead and write sum, adding, difference, subtracting. Now there are a couple of ways to add polynomials. We don't really care which method you use as long as your answer is correct. But we'll show you both ways. You can add horizontally or vertically, but whichever method is comfortable for you, we want you to use them. All right? So sometimes they'll give you an example with no symbols. Do you see that? It will just say adding or sum, and then it will say and. All right, so you just need to know that we're adding in this case. We're taking the sum. All right, so I'm going to use a vertical method for the first one. So I'm going to label this as vertical. Vertical means you're lining it up and down. So I'm going to start with the first one. So this is 5x squared plus 2x minus 1. And when you write the second polynomial, make sure you write it underneath each part, but make sure you match your variables and powers. So do you see this 4x squared? So you have 4x squared minus x plus 2. And I like to just put a little line underneath. But again, it's up to you, and then you can label it as plus for sum. All right? You don't really need to have that line if you don't want to, but I just like to organize it. And you just go straight down and combine like terms. So we have positive 5x squared and positive 4x squared, which will give you 9x squared, and positive 2x and negative 1x. Remember, again, there's invisible 1, so positive 2x and minus 1x will give you positive 1x. And then negative 1 and positive 2 will give you 1, and that will be your new polynomial after you add those two polynomials together, or trinomials. All right, so I'll give you time to copy that. All right, the next one says you want to use horizontal format. Do you see that, horizontal? So I'm going to write down the word horizontal here. All right, so horizontal means for you to go side to side. So you want to line them up just next to each other. So this one, you don't really need to rewrite them. All right, so what you can do is you can kind of circle the matching parts. So you have 5x squared plus 4x squared. You see it? We're lining it up horizontally. It's already lined up horizontally. You see it side by side? So this is 5x squared plus 4x squared, which will give you 9x squared. And then 2x and negative 1x will give you positive 1x, which is x. and -1 and +2 will give you +1. And that way you can kind of reduce a little bit, like maybe a couple of steps here and there. All right, so I'll give you time to copy both of them. All right, so you don't have to decide at this point like which method you like. I mean, I know that some people will feel more comfortable with vertical. Others might be more comfortable with horizontal. Again, it is totally up to you. We're not going to say you must use certain method. All right, you just need to add or subtract. Now, you might like the vertical method when you're using subtraction. I don't know. Okay, so let's see if that's the case. So we're going to go to our second example. Anybody need more time with part A and B? No, we're good? Okay.
Looks like everybody's good, Mr.
All right, so we're going to move on. All right, so again, we're going to start with the vertical method. This time we're subtracting, we're taking the difference, okay? Depending on how they word it, it will say sometimes you need to subtract this from that, okay? Now, if you see the word from, then you need to put the second part first and then subtract the first one, all right? But I'll give you an example of that in a little bit. But in this case, we're just going to go in order. We're just going to subtract first one minus the second one, okay? So here we go. So we have y squared plus, I'm not going to write down the vertical. Is that okay, guys? Okay, y squared plus y minus 1. For subtraction, I like to put parentheses around the second part. All right. Why do I like to write parentheses for the second part? Because it will kind of remind me to distribute this negative. All right. If I don't have this parentheses, sometimes I tend to forget to distribute the negative to all of these terms. All right. So that way I can kind of rewrite this. So this is y squared plus y minus 1. Negative times negative 2y will give you positive 2y squared. And negative times y will give you negative y. And then negative 1. Okay, so I'll give you time to copy that. Just don't forget to distribute your negative for subtraction. Okay, after your distribution, then you can combine top to bottom. So this is positive 1y squared and 2y squared. That gives you 3y squared. Positive 1y and negative 1y will cancel each other out, which will give you 0. I'm not going to write that. Negative 1 and negative 1 will give you negative 2. So this is your difference. Of course, this is how you subtract. Okay, we're almost done with our notes, okay, and then after this, we're going to go to your Delta Math. So here you go. Let's go to part B. All right, so in horizontal, they're lined up already. You can actually take this negative in front of the parentheses and distribute. And after you distribute, you can take out the parentheses. So you have y squared plus y minus 1. Negative times negative will give you positive 2y squared. Negative times negative, positive will give you negative y. Negative times positive will give you negative 1. All right? And just like I did on the top, you want to circle the ones you want to combine. Make sure the letters are matching and powers are matching. So this is 1y squared and 2y squared will give you 3y squared. And positive 1y and negative 1y will cancel each other out again, which will be 0, which we're not going to write again. And negative 1 and negative 1 will give you negative 2. So there it is. All right, so I'll give you a few seconds to copy A and B. And if you're coming in late and if you're absent, you can always watch the video and then try to take, you have notes at home. Just kind of recopy your notes at home, and I think you should be fine. All right? Okay. So I want you to think about which method you would like to use. How many of you guys prefer vertical method? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about horizontal method? Raise your hand.
Yes, raise your hand for horizontal.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yeah. So I know that Mr. Duncan likes the horizontal method. You'll realize which method works best for you. Okay? So just pick one. It doesn't really matter to us. Okay? All right. So basically, this is your lesson for today. Now, we're going to go to Delta Math. We have these. Our assignment today for Delta Math is pretty short. I'm giving you a short assignment so that the rest of the time you can upload any missing assignment. All right? If you have any questions, then we'll help you with it. So everyone log into Delta Math. At this time, go ahead and log into Delta Math.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
You do the back of your notes.
It's gonna be mental math.
Yeah.
Hey, Lord, no. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is.
Okay, everyone go to the first one.
And in Delta Math, correct me if there's some setting you've changed, Mr. U, but I think even if an assignment is past due and it's down below and it's red, you can still do it. It'll allow you to open it up. That red is just telling you it's outside the window of the time that the instructor gave you to do it.
So everyone should have this problem as your first number one. You guys have this? Go ahead and click on your very first question. Everyone should have the same thing. This should be it. All right. So make sure you're there, okay? So that we can stay together. Okay, additions are pretty easy to figure out. You don't have to distribute or anything like that, so you just have to combine like terms. Okay, go ahead and try this problem on your own. I'll give you about a minute to do.
Right on the screen, right? They did.
Okay, so this is your first problem from your Delta Math. I gave you about about a minute to kind of work on this. So you can tell that we're combining 9x squared. If you're using horizontal method, we're just going to kind of go on the side to side like this. So this is 9x squared, and then this is positive 9x squared, which will give you 18x squared, right? And then you have, next one is positive 9x, but this one does not have any x's, right? So there's no other x's to combine with 9x. So this is just positive 9x. And then the numerical values, you have negative 8 and positive 3, so that will give you negative 5. All right, so this will be your answer. Now, if you're using vertical, this is just using horizontal, so you can kind of use mental math for that. Okay, you can look at it and then figure it out, and that's why Mr. Duncan likes it. Now, some of you guys might want to line them up. So if you want to line them up, you have to line them up like this. So make sure you have a space in between. Make sure you have a space in between. And then we have 9x squared plus 9x plus 3 like that. Do you see how everything is lining up like that? Do you see how the numbers are lining up, x's are lining up, and x squares are lining up? And that way it's easier to kind of see which ones are combining versus trying to figure it out side to side. Okay? All right. So go ahead and put this in. I know some of you guys are having trouble entering the value, but you can also use, sometimes you're going to see this keyboard on the side right there. Do you see it? And sometimes you don't. If you don't see this keyboard, you can use this calculator button on the top, and you can also use those keys right here to do those. Alright, now, if you don't have the keyboard, you can use for 18x, you type in 18x, and for that power, we use shift, and then 6, which is the caret, and it will take you up to the exponent part, okay? That will give you square, and then you need to use the arrow button or space button to move it over to the side. Make sure you're not at the exponent part, and then now you write, what is the answer? Positive 9x, and then negative 5. Okay, go ahead and submit and check to see if this is correct.
You're gonna decide to write something down.
Because
The subtraction. Addition, you could probably just make everything on screen. Subtraction, because you end up with minus negatives and negative minus a positive, and it gets tricky. So if you're debating, I see some, addition, you guys, you probably can do on screen.
Yeah.
Subtraction,
You might need to show some.
questionable.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured it out yet, subtraction is the most confusing operation with integers, right? Because a negative minus a positive, minus a negative, it changes things.
what's the -7? Minus the -4. Minus.
Alright, so this is our last example. This is the 4th problem out of your Delta Math, and this is for subtraction, but it says subtract this from the other one. Do you see that? Do you see the wording? So in this case, you need to put this one first, because you need to subtract it from that. So the last part goes first, and the first part will go second. Alright, try to remember that, please. So let's go ahead and put 2x squared minus 2x minus 5. Just rewrite it. You might need to rewrite. It is a little bit harder than addition. If you can do it in your head, go ahead and I know some of you guys can do this in your head. It's not too difficult if you practice enough. So this is negative 2x squared minus 4x. Alright, I hope you guys can see that I am taking this part and subtracting the second part from that. Alright, so you need to have that extra negative in between the parentheses. Like I said, in subtraction, I like to put the parentheses so that I can remember to distribute. Alright, so you want to remember to distribute to all of them. So if you're using a shortcut, basically you just need to change these signs. Does that make sense? So if you're subtracting these two, then make sure to change negative to positive and negative to positive, then you should be good as well. Alright, so let's see what happens if you subtract. So this is 2x squared minus 2x minus 5. And negative times negative will give you positive 2x squared. And negative times negative will give you positive 4x. Alright, so let's go ahead and combine these things. After that, it's pretty easy. After you distribute correctly, it's pretty easy, because we've been combining like terms up to this point. So we have 2x squared will give you 4x squared. And then we have negative 2x and positive 4x will give you positive 2x. And then negative 5 is by itself. You don't have anything else to combine with negative 5, so that should be your answer right there. Okay, so that is it for your lesson. Delta Math is really good about just self-learning, independent work. If you make a mistake, I think you guys are smart enough to figure that out. Okay. All right. So go ahead and work on your assignment. We have plenty of time to finish this, and then upload the other assignment as well. So let's try to finish this in class. Yeah.
Does anybody have